long, but anyway, you know, people always say water will seek its own level, whatever that means, right? I was thinking about, okay, well, it's only true over a short distance. Like if you look at the ocean, you know, it's not what you see on the beach and what you know what you see, you know, what's across the horizon is not the same level. But you know, for 20 feet or so, it's going to be really accurate. So just assume, and this is the simplest way application of the water level. It's just a piece of vinyl tubing long enough to get the job done. So I have about 20 feet. Ideally, you use a half-inch OD, outside diameter. I have something that's a little smaller, maybe 3/8, and the problem is when you fill it with water, it's hard to get the bubbles out if it's too small. So it'll work if it's smaller, but it works a lot faster if it's large enough. So and then you want some corks or some kind of stopper on the two ends for a couple of reasons, but the main reason is when you roll the thing up and you know throw it in your toolbox, you don't want the water running out. So a couple of stoppers and food dye, so you can see you can do it without food dye, but it's a little harder to see the meniscus. Meniscus is for those that may not be familiar with the term. Anytime you have a liquid in a column, you don't get a straight line, you get a curved line, and the meniscus is what we're looking for is the lowest part of that curved line, because that's going to be the most accurate. Right. Usually tapping the plastic tube helps to move the air up. I think I have most of the air out, all the air out now. So if you could, there are a lot of ways to get the water line on, and some people do it off of the slab you're working on. If you're working in a dirt field, it's obviously you're not going to be able to work off the surface, and even the concrete slab. Bill just mentioned this one's not level, so you know if you work off of it, you're going to have errors. So as long as you get the hull level fore and aft and cross the beam, it's gonna be you'll get satisfactory results. So let's just see how this works. I've got my level tied up over here.
Ah.
I put some green dye in it. Okay. I had some scraps laying around. I just joined it together with some irrigation couplings, but again, it's better if it's all the same diameter. That's a restriction, so it kind of slows things down a little bit, but that's okay. So I got my plugs in, and so if I take the two plugs out, I left some extra tubing to make sure it wouldn't accidentally run out. But you can see right now that the two sides are identical. Water seeks its own level, right?
Okay.
So if we want to do this job, I'll need a volunteer. Looks like you're a guy.
Okay.
So you take one end, I'll take the other. And just keep it up. Try to keep it about the same height as I am. Okay, so we need a starting point. So starting point is all right, so here's my starting point. All right, so what we're trying to do is you're going to raise, no, actually, so why don't you start about the middle, say, or actually even a little closer, somewhere around here. So what we're going to want to do is I want to get mine on the line. And the only way I'm going to do that is if you raise or lower yours. So right now we're too low, so if you raise yours, whoops, a little bit. Okay, up a little bit more. All right, it's right there. Okay, so just kind of put your finger on that spot.
Oh, well, just a moment. Okay, that's what you were just talking about.
Yeah.
Oh. Oops. I got carried away.
Let's go. Oh, yeah, you did. Okay. All right, no harm, no foul.
There we go.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, so let's get a piece of tape. Gonna take the tape,
Okay.
and all right, let's get ourselves set again. Okay, so up a little more. Right. Up and drop more. Up, right there. Okay, so put the tape right there, and then take the pen and just draw a line, horizontal line, right at the meniscus. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So now we got that one.
Oh, wow.
Right. You hold the pen. Hold the end of that. Take another piece of tape. Move toward the. You can hold onto the pen.
Okay, I'll just move down here.
Just move down. Just keep that open part. Just keep that up a little bit. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go back to the reference. You have to lower. Go down a little. Down more. Down. Inch. Half inch. Something like that. Down. Keep going. Down a little more. Down. Almost. Right there. Okay. Alright, we're going to take another piece of tape.
It's easy.
Okay. Alright. So you're too high. Down. Almost. Whoop, too low. Up a little. Up. A little more. Right there.
Right. Am I still good?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Now go to the next.
Alright, let's do one more. Right at the transom. Okay, down a little, whoop, too low. Up a little. Whoop, don't lose it. Up. Keep going. Up more. Keep going. Almost. Up a little. More. Right there.
Right there?
Nope, a little too high. Down a little.
Huh?
Right there.
Right there.
Yeah.
Still good?
Yep. Okay. So. That's all there is to it.
Well, that is much simpler and less time consuming than what I saw online, where you put a batten on either end,
Yeah.
get those battens level, and then take a string, hold that string tight, and then
Yeah.
not touching the hull.
Yeah.
Because then you end up having to move both ends of the string constantly,
Yeah.
every couple of feet to keep it away from the hull. And so, yeah, this is pretty good. Yeah.
Just a question. Yeah, I mean, it should be correct.
Yeah. Well, we started out at an arbitrary point.
Yeah, I mean,
but,
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
theoretically, you're up or down so much on each one, it should.
And actually, if
still-
the boat's trimmed, the transom should almost be out of the water.
Say again?
With at least
yeah,
one,
that's
at least,
what we're gonna run
well,
with
Yeah.
when the boat is trimmed, the transom
Right.
should almost be out of the water usually in a rowboat.
I can always ask my wife to change seats. If it's not right.
So I think I covered everything on here. Yeah, so that's about all there is to it. And I guess it sounds like it's competitive with a laser level, but
A lot cheaper.
Might be a little cheaper.
Yeah.
So at this point,
Yes.
what's the recommended way to connect the dots?
Well, I would probably do is I'd have more intermediate. I would definitely have more intermediates, and then if you put enough of them, then I think you could just kind of connect the dots, and then maybe use a batten to kind of
Yeah.
smooth things out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You want way more than that. I would say maybe 6 inches or something like that.
Yeah,
Again, it doesn't take that long.
right.
And then obviously both sides.
Oh, thanks, yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty good, yeah.
So, and I guess the one disadvantage is I think you do need 2 people, unless you can figure out some way.
You would just tape one end of the tube in place, and then you would watch
Yeah.
to like that, and you
Right,
could do
but
it
the problem
by
is that,
yourself.
if it's a long boat, you won't be able to see it, so
But
Yeah.
you
you'd
would
have
take
to
it,
go
you would walk back
and forth.
Yeah, but a single person could do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's neat. Like one guy I knew, he had both electronic navigation and a sextant, and he practiced with the sextant every week.
Yeah.
He says, if you're out over the horizon, what do you do if the electronics fail? You better know how to use a sextant.
Yeah, I mean, another way to do
So
it,
that's
like a surveyor's level on a tripod would be another option. So
yeah, but this is simpler.
right. I mean, if you happen to have a surveyor's
Same
level.
level, yeah.
Or your neighbor.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a number of different ways. I suppose, yeah, possibly you could do it, even with a tripod and a ordinary bubble level, and use your eye to get elevated to the horizontal and to the right elevation. You could swing.
But immediately throwing the eye in is a variable. This
Yeah.
this takes that out.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be pretty accurate within probably an 1/8 inch. The other thing is, depending on the hull,
Uh-huh.
the one problem is if your water line is up here someplace,
Wow.
you laying it this way would probably give you an error. Theoretically, you need to have this level,
And then come horizontally across.
and then you need horizontally, so you may need to use a bubble level or
Bubble
something to
level.
transfer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you want to avoid laying it on a horizontal, on a
Now, one
vertical
advantage
surface.
of this over a laser level, I use a laser level when I did the water line on my scan.
Say again?
I used the laser level when I did the water line for my scan.
Uh-huh.
But one difficulty I had was that my shops, just barely wide enough for the boat.
Yeah.
So I couldn't position the
You couldn't
laser
get
level
that?
out, away, even with the middle of the boat. I had to aim it from one end,
Yeah.
and so by the time the light got to the transom, or actually, I guess it was, in this case, it was the bow.
Yeah.
It was curving around the hole, and it was even with the lights off in the shop, it was really hard to see.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so if you have limited space,
That goes with
yeah.
zero clearance.
Yeah, this as long as you can step around the boat, which you have to be able to.
Actually, just for kicks, how about if we just check this? Just, all right, well, that's about it. Let's see, some other uses. Very handy for leveling footings for a house or deck.
In fact, I did that in my house. When I bought my house, when I was pier and post,
Yeah.
and I crawled underneath and I
Yeah.
leveled my whole house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, if you're putting in like a drop ceiling, you could use it for that, or if you're leveling forms for some sidewalks.
Yeah.
A little harder, but you could,
Building a deck? Yeah.
you could, one option, if you're trying to do something that's on the ground, would be to attach like a yardstick to your level, so then you could rest the end of the yardstick on the form,
Right.
and then just read a number where the liquid is up higher, and then you just want the number to be the same on both sides. So that's another way of doing it. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well,
And then
and as I mentioned earlier, an advantage of this over the more affordable laser levels is that with those, you know, you it's really hard to see the light when you're outside in sun
Yeah.
or even shade. You know,
Yeah.
they're very dim.
Yeah. And then I have a couple references included at the end, and some of those are like more complicated applications. So another way of doing it is instead of having two open ends, one of them connects to a bucket, and the bucket gets set up someplace above where you're working, and then you use a yardstick attached to the other end. And you can then just take readings of different points and compare the readings.
Yeah, that's a one-person way to do it.
Right, you could do it that way with one person.
Yeah.
So that would actually be a way of doing it on a boat with one person. So you're just looking for the same number, and you can just drag it around that way. So it's a little harder to explain, but the YouTubes that are referenced kind of show how it's done, as long as you can understand the southern accent.
For the down easter.
Guy's obviously intelligent and smart, but he's got a southern accent. So that's it.
As far as space being an issue, when you put those battens on, like I've seen a couple of them,
Yeah.
that would be awkward in a small type location too.
Yeah.
You could get the batten full width, and to get around that, I think this would be an improvement.
Yeah. I mean, I thought kind of long and hard about when I went to mark mine and was thinking of all the different ways of doing it. This just seemed like the simplest.
Yeah.
They actually taught us this in the Peace Corps. We're building simple 3-room schools and stuff, and you know they're not going to give a bunch of fancy surveying equipment to
Right. So they taught you this.
psychology majors. People building schools.
Yeah.
So they said, here's some plastic tubes.
That's what we
Go
got.
at it.
That's what we got.
So that was a long time ago, but it came in handy.
So where were you?
Liberia.
Oh.
Yeah. Fun games. All right.
Yeah,
All right.
thanks a lot, then, Rob. This is really
Yeah,
good.
thanks,
Yeah.
Ray.
Yeah.